Hello and welcome to the Content Byte, a podcast for freelancers who use their words to make money. I'm Racquel Smith, a freelance journalist, copywriter and content producer. I'm also the founder of Rachel's List, a jobs board and community for Australian writers and other creatives.
And I'm Lynne. I'm a journalist and content writer as well. Racquel and I are your weekly co-hosts, and every week we bring you all kinds of tips, tricks and some fabulous guests to help you make the most of your freelance business.
Many writers don't realise just how much their time is really worth, and we waste a lot of time doing things that can be automated. That's why I love Rounded. It tracks invoices so I don't have to remember who's paid and who needs chasing up. And when I started using Rounded, I realised how much time I'd been wasting on admin, literally hours every week. Now it takes me about 2 minutes to send an invoice.
Yeah, and it's worth knowing that you can try Rounded for free. And if you're a gold member of Rachel's List, you're in luck. You can save 20% on any annual Rounded plan.
Oh my God. How are you feeling?
Goodness. Oh, well, I'm fine. I think I've been quite, I've got a voice back. That's the worst thing about seeing all the recordings, is seeing how bad my voice was as a moderator and everything. But so Rach, welcome back to life post the Content Byte Summit. What do you reckon?
Oh my God. Has this week just been like such a surreal experience? It's been amazing. Like I've never seen the kind of response to any event like we've seen to the Content Byte Summit. And we want to thank everybody who's like put it on LinkedIn, talked about it on Instagram, sent us emails, filled in the survey. Like we are completely blown away.
We are.
By the response to this event. And can I be super indulgent and read Steve Cahoon's message to us? I think he was the first one to post anything, so we were both like, wow.
It was on LinkedIn. Oh my goodness.
He said, I'm generally uncomfortable offering a personal endorsement, but I can wholeheartedly say that attending the Content Byte Summit in Sydney has been one of the best things I've done as a freelance writer and potentially transformative for my business model. Should the truly remarkable Racquel Smith and Lynne
are we truly remarkable?
Oh my God. Decide to make this an annual event, it'd be a serious error for any freelance writing creative to miss it. I'm absolutely buzzing with ideas, energy and new friendships, and I can't wait to get home and unpack it all to see where it leads. I mean, Steve, that's just beautiful. That has given me warm fuzzies for the whole week, as well as every other piece of feedback we've had. So thank you, everybody.
Yeah, thank you so much. It's been great. And I have to say my LinkedIn has blown up this week. I've got so many people connecting with me, and the comments, you and I have been tagged in comments from people all over the place, all over the country, even the world, saying how much they got from the summit. And I guess for me, a lot of the feedback was great, Rach. I hope you agree, because people said how practical it was. Did you get that?
Absolutely. Mm-hmm. And that was the whole thing that we set out to do with it. I know that people talked to me at the summit about they felt overwhelmed almost by all the information that they were taking in. And that's what we wanted. We really wanted this nothing fluffy, no sessions where you could go, oh, I might miss that. We wanted everybody to just go, I can't miss this session or that session, or I have to be there both days because it's both. Yeah. And I really feel like we somehow pulled that off. So I think that's good. Yeah.
Because when we're looking at the feedback, there's a lot of people who are basically taking like real practical steps to help their freelance writing business right from day one. They've actually come away with, I'm going to do this. Yeah, I'm going to do that.
Just a week since the summit, because I've been looking at all the survey stuff and fielding emails from everybody, I've heard of mastermind groups forming. I've heard of people rebranding completely, people deciding to reposition their business models, people rethinking what they're going to charge and how they're going to charge for different things. And also I got emails this week about people picking up work off the back of being in the room with editors and content peeps. So they actually got commission just from attending the summit. And also a lot of people tweaking their contracts, because there was that great Business of Freelancing panel where there was some,
great tips about that.
Yeah, how to build, that excellent tip that Sally Wright made about how to build a pay rise into your contract every year.
Yeah, simple, but great. Yeah.
So mind-blowing stuff going on we're going to follow up with a lot of the attendees as well in about 6 months, just to see how they have actually changed their businesses and grown. So that's going to be great.
I think a lot of people, particularly Ed's keynote, which started it, launched the whole summit, that Ed's keynote about being remunerated for all the strategic advice you give, but he doesn't call it strategy, but the way it is. And I think that resonated with a lot of people about how much stuff we give away for free. And that was certainly something I took away from it, because I do offer, I guess you call it strategy, I do offer a lot of value add, because people come to me for my contacts, my contact book, and the fact I guess we've just proven it, Rach, that we're really good at pulling things together and the project management, because that's what the summit was all about. So I think that was really good. And I think I'll certainly relook at how I charge for that and how I package that. What about you?
I know. Well, didn't he say that he knew somebody who actually created a package called the Pick My Brains package? Yeah. And I've been thinking about that. That really stuck in my head, because, we hate that, don't we? We hate people coming to us and saying, can I just pick your brains? And we kind of ignore those emails.
Well, now I actually refer them to the podcast.
Oh, you could.
So that's what I say, because I got too many pick your brain sessions. You can't possibly do them all. So now I suggest they listen to the podcast, which is basically like my brain, but with the bonus of your brain as well.
That's true. But imagine if you had a session that was called on your website, the Pick My Brain session. Yeah. And it was $500 and people just paid for it, and they knew they were going to get an hour or 2 hours of your time or whatever it was. And that set the scene for the project going forward. And then you would hopefully get the execution part of the project as well.
Yeah. No, somebody even pulled that out in the about the Pick Your Brain sessions in the survey. I think that's really important. It was a great idea.
Well, I loved Ed. I wanted to say that a couple of all of the panels really blew my mind, but there was a couple that I really loved that focused a lot about finding work. So Roz Page had some killer tips on finding agencies and approaching them for work, which I hadn't heard before and really thought about. And I've often thought, I'm in the dark a bit with agencies. Where are they all? How do you find the ones that, operate in your niche and that sort of thing? So that was awesome.
That was great.
Yeah. I also really loved hearing from the print and digital panelists on day 2, because I think both Claire and Rob Johnson gave some really great advice on how to, get into an editor's pocket and stay in there, how to really make yourself invaluable to an editor. But I also really enjoyed Vic Lee's approach to working with freelancers and kind of going on that journey on a bigger project, which might, involve
going on the journey that she said. So, so when you're working content, and this is so true with the content work I've done with agencies, it's never just about one piece of content. There is usually a whole strategy behind it, and it's all pieces. So going on that journey, I think, is a great idea. And I think, because sometimes I think, and that's what she was saying, that we go, oh, that's outside the scope, that's outside my remit. But with an agency work, when you're doing these big picture things, it's quite satisfying, but it's also where the money is, if we're honest. Yeah, being part of that journey, being part of that integral team, that's really important. It's a great aspect, a great way to look at it, I think. Yeah.
It was definitely about going, working on messaging, I suppose, beyond just articles. It showed that the more skills you have and the more ways that you can take that messaging and repurpose it for the client, the more valuable you're going to be, especially to content chiefs. Maybe not so much to editors, because maybe the money isn't there for them to
rework it.
Yeah. I mean, you'll definitely be invaluable to editors if you offer that stuff as a value add, but it's up to you whether you want to do that for free.
And we did touch on AI a lot during the conference. And one of the things in that panel, the print and digital panel, was that it was reassuring to see that AI is not taking over just yet. And I also think, and that's what's coming through with the survey responses, is that we addressed AI in a really proactive and positive way, talked about it and said how it can, why it won't take our jobs and the sort of jobs it won't eclipse, and also how to use it in a constructive way to basically free you up to do the sort of work you like. Do you think
I know.
So?
Oh, absolutely. Wasn't that brilliant? Susan Rioch's
heaps
presentation.
Of positive responses about that. Yeah.
Amazing. About giving a personality to AI apps. It really made me think totally differently about incorporating AI into my own workflow. So I love
Yeah,
that.
for sure. For
Mm.
sure. There was a session I moderated with Jennifer Goforth Gregory, and we haven't even talked about her keynote yet, but we will.
Amazing.
And Lindy Alexander on the first day talking about, escaping that low pay cycle. And I think people got really a lot out of that and I think a lot of it, and this is what the conference delivered in an intangible way, both of them talked about confidence. Confidence in knowing and how to charge, confidence in knowing what you're worth. And I think Lindy said this amazing thing that confidence is not inbuilt, it's a trait that you can learn. And I think that gave people a lot of hope, that sort of imposter syndrome, that sort of stuff. I think people came out feeling quite confident, a bit more positive about their careers and the content and writing sort of landscape in general. What do you think?
Yeah, that panel blew me away. I remember live tweeting it and just thinking, oh my God, I couldn't keep up with all the nuggets of gold they were flying at us.
Yeah. What else resonated with you? Well, we should talk about Jennifer's keynote on the second day.
Oh my God. So Jennifer kicked off the second day. She did the first panel on the first day, but then she did her keynote on the second day. She was very nervous. And then she said to me, she just hit her stride and absolutely loved it and felt like, she really had it. And
well, she was conscious that we flew her right across the world, she and Gandia across the world to present. So there was I think they felt the weight of responsibility about delivering. What do you reckon?
Oh my God, they both hit it out of the park, really, didn't they?
They did.
Yeah. I loved, Jennifer's sort of vulnerability. I was actually, I've been to events and I've never been to an event and sat there and actually been teary at the end of someone's presentation.
Yeah.
But hers got me in the feels. It really did. And just that whole notion of, looking at your weaknesses and building that into your businesses. Yeah. And being honest with people about it. Like she was very clear about how she hates it when clients say, I want you to have an email on my system. And in the end, I think she said I had 9 emails on different client systems. Like I was basically managing 9 different email addresses for clients in my inbox. And it was a complete disaster. And we can all relate to that, can't we? There are things that clients try and shoehorn you into working in different ways. And really, we have to get better at saying, well, actually, I'd prefer to work this way, or would it be okay if we, change that process slightly? And her message really about that was that clients respect you for it. And I think that's really true.
It is. And that's back to the confidence thing. The more successful you are, the better you are, the more confident you are, and therefore you become more successful. It's a whole cyclical thing. And a lot of people said that they loved her vulnerability and they loved the fact that even she has wobbles someday.
So does Lindy. Lindy mentioned that too, that she's not confident about everything every day, and she still has wobbles as well.
And I think everybody does. And I think maybe to me, I could totally diverge here, but it's more about, I think that's a social media thing. You see everybody's best life and you don't see those vulnerabilities. You don't see our faces when we get, really hard client feedback or editors who want you to rework, because it happens to all of us. And the key with all of this is getting that core strength. So you take a deep breath and you just go through it again. And then, and it shouldn't, the idea is to make it not destroy your worth as a human being. And that's a lot of this was about building up your confidence, about getting people positive, because I think there's a lot of doom and gloom around between AI, the economy. And I think that writers and creatives generally, we're a bit vulnerable. What we do is quite personal. So that feedback and that stuff can be quite confronting. And I guess this showed you that that's just a blip, that there's so much more to be confident about. What do you think?
Absolutely. I mean, just going back to the survey, I found it really interesting. We did ask people what challenges in your freelance career made you want to come to the summit. And it was things like, we got, heaps of responses about this one. Things like, having disorganized systems, hitting an income ceiling, being worried about shrinking markets or feeling isolated, not knowing how to attract new business, feast or famine.
Confidence around charging.
I mean, feeling overwhelmed by too much work all at once and a limited capacity to stretch to take that on.
Yeah.
You know, low rates. There was just so many things. But then when we also asked, you know, what are you thinking about implementing in your business? And that was just incredible. And also, how have the sessions changed the way you feel about your freelancing? I was blown away by that, by what people are thinking of implementing and how they feel now. You know, it's helped me realize my value, which extends beyond writing. It's introduced me to new people and publications I could approach. It's really energized me and focused me on the short and long-term things I can do to grow the business. There's just been so much feedback about all of that and how people are sort of processing it and bringing it into their businesses, I think.
One thing that really surprised me, and I don't know why this surprised me, was how much value people got out of meeting their peers.
Oh, yeah. Huge.
You know, like people, that's what happened on the Thursday night cocktail party, when people who never met each other in real life, sometimes they knew each other's bylines or names, as you do. But people were saying how lovely everyone was. People that, and I think a lot of writers, particularly freelancers, could be quiet, introverted, and they were quite nervous about going to this thing. And everyone came out saying, wow. And that's because those people, everyone on that ship, they were our tribe, weren't they?
Yes. And also, we had a couple of comments about the ship, and people were saying, I had no idea why you were putting on the party before, because it must be customary to put it on at the end. You know, you celebrate at the end. But then all the comments we had in the survey about that, about putting it on before, were like, it was genius doing it before, because we met everybody and then we felt like we had people to sit with the next day and all of that.
They came into the first day of the actual summit meeting friends.
Knowing friends. But something I think we did get wrong in terms of that networking is we needed to offer more of that. We needed to offer longer gaps for people. We've really learnt that, you know, a 20-minute morning tea is just ain't long enough. No.
Yeah, so I definitely think that too. And I think we underestimated how much value you get out of meeting people who are doing the work you're doing. And that's back to the confidence. And they find out other people feel less confident. They find out about other niches, other ways of working. And I think a lot of people went, I never thought of this. You know, it gives you so much hope, and they see so many different ways to create a successful freelance business.
Yeah, I know. Well, I think we talked a little bit about systems, didn't we? But I have to say, Racquel Collard's presentation was another one that really blew my mind. I just wanted to shake her. I actually went up to her afterwards and said, I just want to hand all my businesses over to you and just say, automate all of these and give them back to me when they're done. And also Jac Taylor talked a lot about that on the Business of Freelancing panel, you know, how important it is to get the right systems and make them talk to one another. And I know at Rachel's List, we're pretty big on automation, but both Racquel Collard and Jac made me think about the ways that we can waste time and how really taking that time to set yourself up properly is so important.
Definitely.
They were just invaluable presenters in terms of making us think, and that's come through in the survey too.
Yeah, because they're the sort, you know, doing repetitive admin things. They're not the things you want to spend time on, are they? And just to make it easier.
Yeah.
I think personally that's what we've learned about some of the communications with the summit. You're the queen of emails and scheduling.
A crash course in email marketing.
Yeah.
Oh my God. Yeah. Yeah.
So
I've learned a lot.
Yes, me too. And I wondered, what I also found is when you look at all the feedback, different speakers and panels resonated with different people. And I think that was really nice. So somebody might have talked about Racquel Collard's. So many people talked about Valerie Khoo's speech, particularly is talking about passions and what did she call it? It wasn't passions. There was a word she used. Curiosity.
Yeah,
and exploring that curiosity. I think so. I think that was really interesting, how the same speaker resonates in different ways to different people and connects in different ways.
Yeah, I was actually, just to butt in completely, like I live tweeted as much of that as I could. And the last tweet I did, which I shared on Instagram, was an Ed Gandia one. It was, ideas are nothing without execution. And I would urge you to carve out 10% of your work week to dedicate to your speculative adventure. And I reckon that what you were just saying, it really ties in with what Valerie spoke about, that we tap into our curiosity. We think about, what are the things that really we're passionate about or that we're curious about? And how can we build in that thinking time to, perhaps even get them out of your head and action them, see what you want to action.
Exactly. I think it's really interesting. The idea of 10% is that you're still getting your income coming in, and 10% of a 40-hour week is only like 4 hours, obviously. And so that's quite achievable. It's not like, it shouldn't be intimidating, and you don't have to give everything up to do that. But that's really interesting. I really also love to give a shout out to Melanie Paget Powers, because Melanie I love her. We both love her.
Great podcast,
The Deliberate Freelancer. And she's been a guest on our podcast. And she watched it online as a virtual person from all the way in Washington, D.C. And she's done the best ever summary too. I love listening to her take on it. So her latest podcast episode, which she rushed through, is all about her takes on it. And I think it's really interesting, and she's comment on it. It's really good.
Oh, we'll pop that into the show notes as well, for sure.
Yeah, it's just out, and I think it was really interesting. So you don't just hear yours and my takes, you hear somebody else who wasn't involved in the organization, which is pretty good.
Look, there's so much. I know there's probably a list of things that you are thinking, I'm going to do differently now. And I feel the same. I think the two things as well that I really want to think about and do differently, that I'm including, Ed, if you're listening, I'm including them in my speculative adventures, my 10%. Yes. And one of them was Kim Curtin talking about branded podcasts. I would love to delve more into my skills in podcasting and how I could offer that to clients. And also always loved listening to Anna Pepperstone talk about self-publishing and indie publishing. And something special is coming your way around that, so stay tuned for that. But I think if you're interested in, self-publishing a book, which I really am, for next year, I'm going to be looking at that more as well.
Fantastic. Yeah, I think so. I'm going to certainly look at a few more corporates. Lindy has some great tips on pitching to corporates. I mean, I do a lot of work for corporates, but increasingly I tend to work for the same one or two, and it'd be nice to sort of keep diversifying, and also, looking at moving up the value chain, as Ed talks about, and offering more of that strategic advice to my clients. I think that's really good.
So brilliant. Well, we could talk about this all day, obviously, but it's only going to appeal if you are actually there. So thank you, everybody.
I do think everyone needs to look at their confidence and think you're not alone. It takes, and confidence is a muscle that you have to exercise too.
Yeah. Well, thank you, everybody, for coming along, whether you were there in person and online. It was just amazing to meet so many of you. It really was so great. And we are still buzzing from the whole thing. But we're also really shattered. So the podcast is going to take a little break.
A couple of weeks. We're back on Monday, the 16th of October. We've got some great guests lined up for that week, and I think that'll be really exciting. We're going to take a couple of weeks to rest, recover. And you're going away, which is a great idea. We'll do all that. And, a lot of people ask if we're going to do it again. We're not really sure yet. We're just going to take this time to recover and then decide.
We're gonna percolate, aren't we?
Percolate, yes, exactly. Exactly.
And then we'll let you know.
Yeah. So thank you. Please feel free to make comments and share and rate the podcast. And we'll be back again on Monday, the 16th of October. Thanks again to our sponsors, rounded.com.au, because they're easy in accounting and invoicing software, and they're just made for Australian freelancers and sole traders. So go to rounded.com.au. All right. Bye.
Bye.